All right, guys, welcome back to the Independent Investor Channel. My name is Ryan. I love doing these videos for you guys. These are really kind of a special project, kind of a give back to the subscribers, the Independent Investor Channel community, where I'm looking to grow a couple portfolios up to the first $10,000 mark. And I think this is a huge barrier to entry, that of which I wish to dispel and show folks how it is that you can start with nothing and meet that first $10,000 goal. In this video, I'm going to be covering the M1 Finance portfolio. I'm going to drop you in there, show you the aesthetics. For a lot of new investors, this is going to be really useful to be introduced to what the M1 Finance platform has to offer, what a real portfolio looks like, and how I've built it to be indicative of and reflective of a new portfolio for a new investor. Now, this is in pursuit of that $10,000 goal. We're not there yet. When we get there, we will have met our first goal for this portfolio, and then we'll reset that goal as the cash amount starts to grow and the investments start to grow within that portfolio. So with that, guys, I'm going to drop you into M1 Finance. Please enjoy. All right, guys, so welcome into M1 Finance. It's been a little while since I've done a portfolio update on M1 Finance. There's multiple benefits to doing this for folks. I think the most impact is for new investors that want basically an introduction to a platform like M1 Finance. Obviously, we can't review them all. We talk all the time on the Independent Investor Channel about the different options out there, and options for a new investor are really what's important, and I think it's very valuable for a new investor to have the opportunity to look at a portfolio like mine. This was started with some strategic goals in mind. It was meant to replicate a beginning portfolio for a new investor. I know there's a lot of investors out there or would-be investors that are looking to save their first $1,000 or $2,000 and perhaps looking to become an investor. They've done a lot of research, maybe read about it. M1 Finance provides that opportunity to become a participant in the market. And I've been very critical of M1 Finance, and I've been very supporting of M1 Finance. I think there's definitely some drawbacks to the platform, and I think there's some real positives for the platform. And I think for those folks that can find and extract some real value from M1 Finance, I really think that it can be a great way to seek out your entry to the market. So for you guys that are new to the M1 Finance platform, this is basically your homepage. Very clean layout, very simple layout, to be honest with you. Now, it does get a little bit more complex when you're looking to build out your portfolios. I've actually got the actual holdings, or the ETFs, allocated here in each of the slices. Now, you can take these slices and you can further add exposure to this overall portfolio, and you can really add some depth within this M1 Finance platform, almost to an unbelievable scale. It's really, the functionality of this is going to take a little time to get used to, in my opinion. But I've got it very cleanly laid out here because I really want this to be indicative of what a beginning portfolio would look like. So for you guys that are enjoying this for the first time, I thought it was time to go ahead and roll out the review, see how the portfolio is performing. It's a rather smaller portfolio, again, just shy of $2,000. But I have a very specific goal for this portfolio, and that is to reach our first $10,000. I've been investing in this portfolio now for about 6 or so months, I guess. So, yep, right here, you can see performance since March 5th of 2019. So, for you beginning investors out there who are looking at the prospect of getting involved in the market, I think your takeaway from these videos is to get an idea of what the aesthetics look like, see the performance of a real portfolio with real dollars. So, and to do so over the course of a couple-minute video that you risk nothing. You get a nice idea of the aesthetics of the platform and how it displays certain metrics or performance factors of the portfolio to the user of the platform. I think that's very, very valuable for a new investor. I would take this opportunity to premise that the Independent Investor Channel is an affiliate with M1 Finance, and the links are provided in the description below. If you do click on that link and further pursue the M1 Finance opportunity, I will receive a small compensation which helps support the message of the channel. Let me just say this about that as well. M1 Finance is one of 2 affiliate programs that we support on the Independent Investor Channel. They fit really, really nice with what our goal is, and really trying to push out the message to new investors. And M1 Finance provides that entry-level opportunity, in my opinion, to any investor out there seeking free investing. So it allows you to invest in the market free of charge. There is no charge or entry or exit fee for your stock or your ETF purchases, which is a good thing. But I've always contended, and the real value of my endorsement of the M1 Finance product is really limited by understanding your risk style. What I mean by that is M1 Finance is really not going to be good for those investors seeking out a more active profile. If you're looking to trade in and out of stock, M1 Finance is not going to be good for you. And this is just my opinion. I know there's folks out there that buy single stock and they do it in the way that I feel is indicative of the way you should use M1 Finance, and that you invest in the single stock and you hold it for a long term. But if you're looking to have more of an active profile and exercise your opportunity to take profits at your leisure, M1 Finance is not going to be the platform for you. However, if it is your goal to become more of a passive investor, which this profile or this portfolio here would meet the profile that is indicative of a passive investor. And I've built this portfolio very, very simple, okay? As you can see in the description below, I've basically selected the 11 sectors out of the S&P 500. I've split them up here into the 11 slices in this portfolio with M1 Finance. Now, the only custom aspect of this is the percentage of allocation, which is denoted here. The top is the actual allocation, and the bottom here in bold is the target allocation. So what that means to a new investor is basically I'm telling this portfolio to continually work toward a 6% allocation in the telecommunications sector, okay? Now, it's going to fluctuate, and it's going to either be overweight or underweight. I don't think we're overweight any of the holdings. We're not. We're slightly underweight in most of them with regard to our target allocation, which is totally fine. But when some of these start to outperform, this percentage will move above our target allocation. The cool thing about M1 Finance, which is unique to any platform that I've ever used or have researched in my investing career, is that when dividends are paid within this portfolio, it will go to fund the lowest allocation in the portfolio, which is very, very unique. And that's another part of this experiment that I'm actually curious to see how it affects the long-term rate of return. I really, it's positive. I mean, passive money, I mean, this is an asset here. This M1 Finance is just, it's an example of an asset that I hold in my asset bucket, which basically takes care of itself. Now, the dividends that are paid hasn't been overly impressive. I've only earned $26 of earned dividends, and you can see here the capital appreciation here has been just over $80. So nothing too crazy, but both of these are passive examples of capital. So, you know, this asset has improved in value over $100 with me really not doing anything. This portfolio is strictly passive in nature, which is the whole entire goal, this is one of the most important reasons as to why we invest in the first place, is to build assets in our asset bucket that have the ability to not only pay out revenue, but have the ability to grow internally or be able to fund themselves and grow basically organically within the asset bucket. This is very, very important. So when you start investing, realizing income from your asset isn't really the most important thing. Setting up that asset to be able to pay and fund itself to grow while you're doing other things in your life, whether it be you're sleeping or you're working another job or your main primary job. The idea is that we set this up. Now, this account it's worth mentioning that this is set up on a dollar cost average schedule of $25 per month, which again, I was really trying to align what a new investor could potentially pursue in way of a dollar cost average program. So I'm really trying to duplicate what a new investor could look at in this portfolio and say, wow, I can do this. Okay, Ryan's talking about a dollar cost average schedule of $25. Bingo, I can do that. He's talking about seeking diversification. Now, however you seek diversification in the market, I know there's a lot of folks out there that misconstrue diversification. And this is really the only way that you can do it, through passive avenues, whether it be mutual funds or index funds, or my favorite way is through these specialty ETFs in this portfolio, or total market ETFs. This is absolutely an example of a diversified portfolio. I'm exposed to all 11 sectors, and within each of those 11 sectors, I hold small, medium, and large cap exposure within each of these sectors. So it's really, there's a whole lot of fundamental takeaways from this. Are we earning dividend income? Yes. Are we diversified? Yes. Are we contributing to this portfolio on a dollar cost average schedule? Yes, we are. So by maintaining those fundamental strategies that have been proven over time to work in the stock market, and leveraging an opportunity that is presented with M1 Finance, you can see here that we're rendering just shy of 7% in this portfolio. Guys, I've done nothing in this portfolio to manage it. This is completely passive. But the cool part about this portfolio is it's absolutely self-directed. This is a taxable account for me. I already have my Roth holdings with another broker in another bucket, but this is just indicative of something that somebody could look at and say, wow, this really does meet my profile. And if you disagree with how I've done this and split up the S&P 500, that doesn't mean that you can't search out or seek out your own level of how you want to participate in the market. It doesn't mean that you can't just buy the S&P 500 outright and maybe put a small cap holding, maybe some real estate holding. Maybe you do like how I've sought out my utilities exposure here and my materials exposure here. Perhaps maybe you like that. But this is just an example of how I thought it best to demonstrate a diversified portfolio, and doing it in a little bit of a creative way, because I'm looking to get some answers from how this portfolio performs over time. I'm really looking at how this asset allocation across the 11 sectors fares in comparison to how the M1 Finance takes your dividends and reinvests them back into the portfolio and not the underlying asset. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out over time, and I will continue to roll out these as we continue to march toward our $10,000 goal. I mean, we're just shy of 20% of my goal. That's just how I think about wealth building, guys. And I don't think about this portfolio very often. The only time that I log into this, to be honest, is when I'm disclosing it for you guys and tracking its progress. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this update of the M1 Finance. This is a taxable brokerage account in M1 Finance, and really hope you guys enjoyed the review. We'll continue to roll these out as appropriate and keep you guys pulsed into the progress. Thank you so much. I'll kick you back to YouTube. All right, guys, welcome back out of M1 Finance. I hope you enjoyed the review of the sector specific specialty ETFs. It's comprised of the 11 Vanguard ETFs. Just a cool way of seeking my exposure, very sleepy way of investing, to be honest with you. But I've built this portfolio to reflect what a new portfolio for a new investor could potentially look like. And I'm using my money to demonstrate the progress. So this is really a give back for you guys. I really hope you appreciate what I'm trying to do here in breaking down some of the barriers to entry for new investors who really may not think it's ever possible to have that first $10,000 milestone out of the way. I'm trying to really show folks how reachable that goal is, but also how difficult it is to reach. And I think once new investors see me progressing toward that goal, hopefully it will really incentivize a lot of folks to say, you know what, I can do that too. If you enjoy the message that we're putting through, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button for us. Leave your comments at the bottom of the video, and certainly share the video with anybody out there that you know is looking to get some information on the stock market. Bring them onto the channel. We can maybe incentivize that decision for them, guys. So thank you so much for tuning into the video, and good luck in your investment future.